last 5 years of my body of work, to have a part that I could be more real, more connected to the true experience.
Faye Dunaway, who once threw pee in a director's face, has done it again. She slapped crew members. She threw hairpins. She even made people clean her floors on their hands and knees. But it was her final meltdown that shocked everyone. She exploded so violently that producers shut down the entire Broadway show that very night. They didn't just fire her, they canceled everything. After decades of bad behavior, Hollywood's biggest nightmare has finally been exposed. Faye Dunaway was born Dorothy Faye Dunaway on January 14, 1941, in Bascom, Florida. She arrived prematurely, a fragile newborn in a small rural town. Her father, John McDowell Dunaway Jr., was a non-commissioned officer in the U.S. Army. Her mother, Grace April Smith, was a housewife. The Dunaway home followed strict discipline. Military life demanded order, and Faye grew up in a world where rules were clear and expectations were high. That structure shaped her. It made her resilient, determined, and meticulous, qualities that later defined her acting career. Her childhood was far from settled. Her father's military career kept the family on the move. One year they were in the United States. The next, they were overseas. She spent time in Mannheim, Germany, and at Dugway Proving Ground in Utah. Each move meant a new home, a new school, and a new set of people. It was hard to make lasting friendships. She had to learn to adapt quickly, to adjust without hesitation. That skill became an advantage when she stepped into acting. She could become anyone, fit into any role, because she had spent her whole life adjusting. At 13, her world changed again. Her parents divorced, and her mother moved Faye and her younger brother, Mac Simeon Dunaway, back to Florida. Divorce was painful, but it forced her to become independent. She would not let her life be shaped by uncertainty. She was determined to take control of her own future. Through all the changes, she found one constant: the arts. From an early age, she trained in ballet, piano, tap dancing, and singing. These were not just hobbies. They gave her discipline, focus, and a sense of purpose. By the time she reached Leon High School in Tallahassee, she was drawn to acting. She started performing in local theater productions. The stage became her escape. When she performed, she was no longer the girl who had moved from place to place. She was whoever she wanted to be. Still, she took a practical route after high school. In 1958, she enrolled at the University of Florida with plans to become a teacher. It seemed like the safer choice, a stable career, but something felt wrong. She kept gravitating toward drama programs and theater activities. Acting wasn't just a dream, it was a need. She couldn't ignore it. She made a bold decision. She left UF and transferred to Boston University's School of Fine and Applied Arts. There, she fully embraced her passion. She studied under top instructors like Lloyd Richards. She spent summers performing at Harvard's Loeb Drama Center. She worked alongside future stars like Jane Alexander. This was where she belonged. In 1962, at just 21 years old, she graduated with a degree in theater. 2 days later, she landed a role on Broadway in A Man for All Seasons. The play, a historical drama about Sir Thomas More's moral struggle with King Henry VIII, was an intense introduction to professional theater. She worked alongside veteran actors, gaining first-hand experience in high-level productions. This led to another significant role in 1964. She was cast in Arthur Miller's After the Fall, playing Maggie, a character inspired by Marilyn Monroe. It was a demanding role, filled with emotional depth. Dunaway had to capture both fragility and resilience, and critics praised her for it. These early roles shaped her approach to acting. She wasn't just performing, she was bringing complex characters to life. Her real breakthrough came in 1965 with Hogan's Goat, an off-Broadway play written by William Alfred. The story was set in 19th century Brooklyn, and revolved around Irish-American politics. Dunaway played Kathleen Stanton, the wife of an ambitious mayoral candidate. The role required her to balance tenderness and strength. She delivered a powerful performance that critics loved. The play ran for 607 performances and won a Drama Desk Award. Dunaway herself received a Theatre World Award for her role. This play marked a turning point. She wasn't just a promising actress anymore. She was proving she could command the stage. But Hogan's Goat gave her more than recognition. It introduced her to William Alfred, who became one of the most important mentors in her life. He was a Harvard professor and playwright, but to Dunaway, he was much more. She later called him the parent and companion I would always have wanted. His influence shaped her artistic philosophy. He taught her that true beauty came from simplicity and truth. Faye Dunaway's journey to stardom began in 1967 with her first two films. Her screen debut was in The Happening, a crime comedy directed by Elliot Silverstein. The film starred Anthony Quinn and followed a group of hippies who kidnapped a retired mob boss, leading to a series of unpredictable events. The movie had a modest reception, but it put Dunaway in front of audiences for the first time. That same year, she took a supporting role in Hurry Sundown, a Southern Gothic drama directed by Otto Preminger. The experience was not an easy one. She clashed with Preminger, later calling him incapable of understanding actors. The tension on set drained her emotionally, and she made a bold decision to terminate her six-picture contract with him. Despite the challenges, Hurry Sundown brought her recognition. She earned a Golden Globe nomination for New Star of the Year, proof that Hollywood was beginning to take notice. But her biggest moment was still ahead. Later in 1967, she landed the role of Bonnie Parker in Bonnie and Clyde, a film that would change her career forever. Warren Beatty starred as Clyde Barrow, and together they portrayed the outlaw couple in a way no film had done before. Dunaway was not the first choice for Bonnie. Actresses like Jane Fonda and Natalie Wood were considered, but director Arthur Penn saw her potential after watching The Happening. She took the role seriously, even going through an extreme diet to achieve a Depression-era look. She lost 30 pounds, completely transforming herself for the character. Bonnie and Clyde was groundbreaking. It mixed romance, crime, and shocking violence in a way that Hollywood had never seen. At first, critics were divided, but audiences were captivated. The film became one of the highest-grossing movies of 1967 and earned 10 Academy Award nominations. Dunaway was nominated for Best Actress, cementing her place as one of Hollywood's most promising talents. Roger Ebert praised her performance, calling her one of the industry's brightest new stars. More than just a hit, the film helped launch the New Hollywood movement, breaking traditional filmmaking rules and influencing a new wave of directors. With her career soaring, Dunaway took on The Thomas Crown Affair in 1968. Starring opposite Steve McQueen, she played Vicki Anderson, an insurance investigator determined to catch a millionaire mastermind behind a bank heist. The film was sleek and stylish, with one scene standing out, a chess match between Dunaway and McQueen filled with tension and unspoken attraction. Their chemistry made the film unforgettable, proving that she could transition effortlessly from intense dramas to sophisticated thrillers. She continued to take on challenging roles. In 1969, she starred in The Arrangement, directed by Elia Kazan. The film, co-starring Kirk Douglas, explored themes of identity and emotional turmoil. Dunaway played Gwen, a woman caught in a complicated relationship with Douglas's character. The movie was not a major commercial success, but her performance showed her ability to take on complex and layered characters. In 1970, she expanded her range again with Little Big Man, a Western directed by Arthur Penn. The film starred Dustin Hoffman as a white man raised by Native Americans, blending humor with serious themes about prejudice and American history. Dunaway played Louise Pendrake, a preacher's wife who wasn't as virtuous as she appeared. The film became one of the most acclaimed of the decade, and even in a supporting role, she made a lasting impression. Then came a shift to adventure. In 1973 and 1974, she starred in The Three Musketeers and its sequel, The Four Musketeers, both directed by Richard Lester. She played Milady de Winter, a seductive and dangerous villain. The films mixed humor, action, and intrigue, making them some of the most successful adaptations of Alexandre Dumas's classic story. As Milady, Dunaway brought elegance and menace to the role, proving she could shine in any genre. Faye Dunaway's career reached new heights in the mid-1970s, with some of the most intense and unforgettable performances in Hollywood history. In 1974, she starred in Chinatown, a neo-noir thriller directed by Roman Polanski. The film was a huge success, earning 11 Academy Award nominations and becoming one of the greatest detective films ever made. Dunaway played Evelyn Mulray, a woman trapped in a world of corruption and secrets. Her performance was haunting, filled with quiet pain and mystery. It earned her a second Oscar nomination for Best Actress, proving that she was more than just a rising star. She was now one of the most respected actresses in the industry. In 1975, Dunaway took on a new kind of thriller. 3 Days of the Condor, directed by Sidney Pollack, was a political drama set during the height of Cold War paranoia. She starred alongside Robert Redford, playing Kathy Hale, a woman who gets caught up in a dangerous conspiracy. Redford's character, a CIA analyst named Joe Turner, kidnaps her after his colleagues are murdered. At first, she is terrified, but as the film unfolds, she begins to understand the danger he is in and chooses to help him. Dunaway and Redford had incredible chemistry. Their scenes together balanced suspense with moments of vulnerability. Critics praised her ability to bring depth to her character, making Kathy more than just a love interest. The film was a box office hit, earning $41 million and winning an Edgar Allan Poe Award for Best Motion Picture Screenplay. It also received an Academy Award nomination for Best Film Editing. Dunaway's performance proved that she could excel in any genre, from psychological noir to political thrillers. Then came the film that would define her career. Network, directed by Sidney Lumet, was released on November 27, 1976. It was a dark and shocking look at the television industry, showing how far networks would go to boost ratings. Dunaway played Diana Christensen, an ambitious TV executive who cared about nothing but success. She was ruthless, cold, and completely detached from human emotion. It was unlike any character she had played before. Lumet pushed her to strip away any warmth or sympathy from the role. Every decision Diana made was calculated. She turned a struggling news anchor's breakdown into a media sensation, using his madness to draw in viewers. The film was a massive success, earning 10 Academy Award nominations and winning 4. Dunaway won the Oscar for Best Actress. This was the peak of her career, the moment she had worked for her entire life. The production was intense. Lumet was known for long rehearsals, making sure every scene was perfect before filming began. The script, written by Paddy Chayefsky, was sharp and brutally honest. Every actor had to deliver their lines with precision. Peter Finch, who played the unhinged news anchor Howard Beale, won Best Actor, though he passed away before the ceremony. Beatrice Straight won Best Supporting Actress for a performance that lasted just 5 minutes, the shortest to ever win an Oscar. Network was more than just a great film. It was a warning about the future of television, one that became more relevant with time. In 2000, it was selected for preservation in the National Film Registry, recognized as one of the most important films ever made. For Dunaway, Network was her crowning achievement, proving that she was not just a star, but a powerhouse actress capable of taking on the most complex roles in Hollywood. After her Oscar win, she continued to take on challenging projects. In 1978, she starred in Eyes of Laura Mars, a supernatural thriller directed by Irvin Kershner. The film followed Laura Mars, a fashion photographer who begins to see terrifying visions of murders before they happen. The screenplay was co-written by John Carpenter, who would later become famous for Halloween. Though Eyes of Laura Mars received mixed reviews, it was a financial success, earning $20 million at the box office. Over the years, it gained a cult following for its eerie atmosphere and stylish cinematography. In 1979, Dunaway took on a more emotional role in The Champ, directed by Franco Zeffirelli. She played Annie Phillips, the ex-wife of a former boxing champion, played by Jon Voight. The story followed Billy Flynn, a washed-up fighter trying to raise his young son, played by Ricky Schroeder. The film was heartbreaking, filled with powerful moments between father and son. While Voight and Schroeder received most of the attention, Schroeder even won a Golden Globe at just 9 years old. Dunaway brought a quiet strength to her role. Her presence added emotional weight to the story, making the family's struggles feel even more real. Faye Dunaway's personal life was as intense as the roles she played on screen. In the late 1960s, she fell in love with Italian actor Marcello Mastroianni while filming A Place for Lovers, 1968. The movie flopped, but their romance was unforgettable. Mastroianni was separated from his wife, Flora Carabella, yet he refused to divorce her. His Catholic beliefs and loyalty to his family kept him from making that choice. Dunaway wanted marriage and children, but he wouldn't take that step. Their relationship ended in 1970, leaving both with lasting regrets. In her 1995 autobiography, she admitted, "There are days when I look back on those years with Marcello and have moments of real regret. He thought we would grow old together." Even decades later, Mastroianni still called her the love of his life. In 1974, Dunaway married Peter Wolf, the lead singer of the J. Geils Band. Their engagement lasted only 1 day before they tied the knot. Their careers kept them apart, and after 5 years of marriage, they divorced in 1979. 3 years later, she married British photographer Terry O'Neill. They had first met in 1977 when he took one of the most famous photographs of her career. In 1980, before they married, they adopted a son, Liam. For years, Dunaway claimed she had given birth to him, but O'Neill later revealed the truth. The couple lived between London and New York, trying to build a family, but their marriage ended in divorce in 1987. Balancing work and personal life was never easy for Dunaway. Acting was her greatest love, and everything else came second. She later admitted that her devotion to her career made it hard to maintain relationships. The sacrifices she made brought her success, but they also left her with moments of regret. One of the most unforgettable moments of her career came on March 29, 1977, the morning after she won the Oscar for Network, 1976. Terry O'Neill photographed her at dawn by the poolside of the Beverly Hills Hotel. She sat in a silk robe with last night's diamonds still around her neck. On the table beside her, newspapers announced her victory. Her Oscar stood among them, the symbol of her success. But her expression told a deeper story. She looked distant, lost in thought, as if the weight of fame had already set in. Unlike most Oscar winner photos, this one didn't capture celebration. It showed something more honest. The quiet reality after the excitement fades. Taken around 6 a.m., it became one of the most famous celebrity photographs of all time. Vogue called it one of the most iconic photographs of modern celebrity. For Dunaway, it marked a turning point. Not long after, she and O'Neill began an affair that led to their marriage 5 years later. Motherhood became the most meaningful part of her life. In her autobiography, Looking for Gatsby, My Life, 1995, she called raising Liam her greatest joy. For years, She kept the details of his adoption private. No matter how the story was told, she saw him as her son in every way that mattered. Her faith also became a source of strength. In 1996, she converted to Catholicism, a decision that gave her comfort during difficult times. She attended Mass daily and prayed for Liam's well-being. Her belief in God helped her through struggles with bipolar disorder and depression. It also shaped the way she approached acting. She sought roles that explored deeper truths, using her faith to bring more meaning to her performances. Her mentor, playwright William Alfred, had once told her about the virtue of a simple life. She carried that lesson with her, even in the midst of Hollywood's chaos. Faye Dunaway's career had its highs and lows, but in the early 1990s, she found a way back into the spotlight. In 1993, she guest-starred on Columbo in an episode called It's All in the Game. This was no ordinary role. It was a rare moment in the series where the famously sharp and unshakable detective found himself drawn to a suspect. Dunaway played Lauren Statton, a wealthy socialite caught in a murder plot with her lover Nick Franco and her accomplice Lisa Martin. The story took an emotional turn when it was revealed that Lisa was actually Lauren's daughter. The episode was special for another reason too. Peter Falk, who played Columbo, had written it himself. His chemistry with Dunaway made it stand out from other episodes. Their characters shared a playful yet tense connection, with Columbo almost letting his guard down. Critics loved the dynamic, praising Dunaway for bringing depth and elegance to the role. Her performance didn't go unnoticed. In 1994, she won a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Guest Actress in a Drama Series. For Dunaway, this win was more than just an honor. It was proof that she still had the power to captivate audiences. After the harsh backlash from Mommy Dearest in 1981, her reputation had taken a hit. Some questioned whether she could ever fully recover. But this Emmy win was a turning point. Looking back on the moment, she described it as a warm embrace from her peers. Dunaway continued proving herself on television with roles in major miniseries. In Ellis Island, 1984, she played Maud Charteris, an American actress living through the challenges of early 20th century immigration. The series explored the struggles of immigrants chasing the American dream between 1907 and 1916. Dunaway's performance was widely praised, earning her a Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actress in a series, miniseries, or television film. More than a decade later, she took on another major TV role in Gia, 1998, an HBO biopic about supermodel Gia Karangi. The film followed Gia's rapid rise to fame and her tragic battle with drug addiction and AIDS. Angelina Jolie played the title role in what became one of her breakout performances. Dunaway played Wilhelmina Cooper, a powerful modeling agent who took Gia under her wing. She brought both authority and warmth to the character, showing Wilhelmina as a strong but deeply caring mentor. The film was a critical success, and once again, Dunaway's performance stood out. She won her second Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress. Even as television gave her new opportunities, Dunaway never left film and theater behind. In Barfly, 1987, she starred opposite Mickey Rourke as Wanda Wilcox, an alcoholic drifter. The film had a cult following, and critics often called it one of her strongest performances after Network, 1976. Theater also became an important part of her later career. In 1996, she took on the demanding role of Maria Callas in Master Class, a play by Terrence McNally. The production toured across the country, and Dunaway's performance was widely praised. Not every project was a success. In 1993, she starred in the CBS sitcom It Had to Be You, but the show failed to find an audience and was canceled after only 4 episodes. The making of Chinatown in 1974 was as intense behind the scenes as it was on screen. Faye Dunaway played Evelyn Mulray, a role that would become one of her most iconic. But working with director Roman Polanski was a nightmare. He was a perfectionist Known for his controlling and often harsh directing style, Dunaway found him humiliating and cruel. Their clashes became legendary. One of the most infamous moments happened during a car scene. As the cameras rolled, Polanski noticed a stray hair on Dunaway's head. Instead of pausing the shot or asking her to fix it, he reached over and yanked it out himself. She was furious. She later described his behavior as incessantly cruel, filled with sarcasm that bordered on harassment. But that wasn't the worst of it. During the same scene, Dunaway asked for a bathroom break. They had been filming for hours. Polanski refused. She reached her breaking point, according to multiple accounts, including Peter Biskin's Easy Riders, Raging Bulls. Dunaway urinated into a cup and threw it in his face. "You cunt! That's piss!" she screamed. Polanski dismissed the incident, calling it certifiable proof of insanity. Dunaway saw it differently. She believed Polanski had no respect for her and was deliberately trying to humiliate her. The feud never healed. They never worked together again. Chinatown earned 11 Academy Award nominations and is still considered a masterpiece. But the tension behind the scenes remains one of Hollywood's most shocking stories. Years later, Dunaway's career took another unexpected turn. In 1981, she starred in Mommy Dearest, a film meant to be a serious drama about Joan Crawford's abusive relationship with her daughter. Dunaway threw herself into the role, but from the moment the film hit theaters, it was met with ridicule. Her performance was intense, theatrical, and unforgettable, but instead of being praised, it was mocked. The infamous scene where she screams, "No wire hangers ever," was supposed to be terrifying. Instead, audiences burst into laughter. Roger Ebert gave the film 1 star, calling it a painful experience. Critics trashed it. The film won 5 Golden Raspberry Awards, including Worst Actress for Dunaway. Despite the backlash, Mommy Dearest made money. It grossed $25 million against a $10 million budget. But for Dunaway, the damage was done. She later admitted the role haunted her for years. She felt typecast and believed the film overshadowed her achievements in Bonnie and Clyde, 1967, and Network, 1976. In interviews, she expressed regret, saying audiences had misunderstood the film. But time changed everything. What started as a disaster turned into a cult classic. Fans embraced the film's over-the-top style. It became a staple of midnight screenings and drag performances. Decades later, Mommy Dearest is more popular than ever. Dunaway may have hated what it did to her career, but the film refused to be forgotten. Then came Sunset Boulevard in 1994. This time, the controversy wasn't on screen, it was in court. Dunaway had been cast as Norma Desmond in the Los Angeles production of Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical. It was a huge role, one that could have put her back in the spotlight. But just before rehearsals began, she was fired. Lloyd Webber claimed she couldn't handle the vocal demands of the part. Dunaway didn't stay silent. She sued Lloyd Webber and his production company for $6 million, accusing them of breach of contract, defamation, and fraud. She claimed they had used her as an excuse to shut down the Los Angeles production and move resources to Broadway. The lawsuit became a spectacle. Her vocal coach backed her up, saying she had worked tirelessly to meet the role's demands. The case never went to trial. They settled out of court. Lloyd Webber called Dunaway an extraordinary talent. She expressed relief that the fight was over. Faye Dunaway's return to Broadway was supposed to be a grand moment. She was cast as Katharine Hepburn in Tea at 5, a one-woman play about Hepburn reflecting on her career and her love for Spencer Tracy. The story was set in 1983 as Hepburn recovered from a car accident. The play had first premiered in 2002 as a 2-act production, but this new version was reworked into a 90-minute monologue. It was meant to be Dunaway's first Broadway appearance in 35 years, her last being The Curse of an Aching Heart in 1982. For an actress with her reputation, this seemed like the perfect fit. She had won an Oscar for Network in 1977 and starred in classics like Chinatown and Bonnie and Clyde. She had even played other powerful women before, including Joan Crawford in Mommy Dearest and Maria Callas in Masterclass. This was supposed to be another defining role. Instead, it became one of the biggest scandals of her career. The Boston run of Tea at 5 started on June 22, 2019, at the Huntington Theatre Company. The plan was to run it until July 14th before moving to Broadway. But from the very beginning, trouble was brewing behind the scenes. Dunaway's behavior during rehearsals was unpredictable and often aggressive. Crew members said she slapped people who were trying to fit her wig. She threw mirrors, combs, and boxes of hairpins. She insisted that no one wear white because it distracted her. Late at night, she left angry voicemails for the production team. At one point, she even demanded that staff scrub the floors of her dressing room on their hands and knees. Memorizing lines became another major issue. She struggled so much that producers had to give her an earpiece so they could feed her cues. Even with that, she couldn't stay on track. Crew members later described the work environment as dangerous. Some feared for their safety because of how unpredictable she had become. This wasn't the first time Dunaway had been accused of being difficult. On the set of Mommy Dearest in 1981, co-star Rutanya Alda claimed that Dunaway had actually slapped her instead of performing a staged slap. Stories of her erratic behavior had followed her for years, but until now, her talent had always kept her career moving forward. Everything fell apart on July 10, 2019. Just before a performance at the Huntington Theatre, Dunaway allegedly attacked crew members again while they were trying to put on her wig. The show was canceled at the last minute. Producers Ben Feldman and Scott Beck fired her immediately. In their official statement, they announced that they would recast the role for a future West End production. Dunaway was out. The fallout was swift. For years, Dunaway had been known as a brilliant but difficult actress. Now, many in the industry wondered if this would be the end of her stage career. Tea at 5 was supposed to be a triumphant return. Instead, it became a cautionary tale about how even the biggest stars can sabotage their own success.